Shalom, my dear friends, Shalom and Shavuot Tov from the holy city of Jerusalem. And today, on the 26th day of the month of Adar of this most auspicious year, 5780, we'll begin with today's studies with the study of the book of Kohelet of King Solomon, chapter 9. And this is most opportune because we have a chance to lift ourselves up from the very dark fog that has descended upon the whole world and look at the eternal wisdom that King Solomon teaches us in Qohelet. So with no further ado, let us turn immediately now to chapter 9 of Qohelet. Before we go on to that, let us just try to ensure that we will have one moment, please, friends. Yes, I hope that we will now be able to not only have this class, but also to preserve it for, let me just get a reasonable level on this. I'm sorry to keep you waiting like this, but let's just make sure that we have something also for preserved recorded. And I'm just finishing with that now. So, B'Shem Hashem, Na'aseh v'Natzliach, in the name of God, let us do and let us accomplish. Turning now to Kohelet chapter 9, beginning at the first verse, which follows on from the preceding section, which had taken this very great sweep over the immensity of God's creation, which is far, far beyond the ability of any person or all humans indeed to understand. The closing verse of chapter 8 verse 17, I saw all the work of God that no person could ever find out to the very end what it's all about. Continuing therefore with chapter 9, Ki es kol ze nosati el libi v'lavur es kol ze asher hatzadikim ve'achachomim ועבודיהם ביד האלוהים, גם אהבו, גם שנאו, אין יודע האדם הכל לפניהם. For this too I have put to my heart to clarify all of this, the fact that the righteous and the sages and their servants, they're all in the hand of God. Likewise, all the love and all the hatred, and a person simply does not know. It's all in front of them. Let us turn first to the prince of the commentators, to Rashi, for interpretation of this verse. Solomon wants Lavur to clarify all of this. I searched and I tested. That the righteous and the wise, all their works are in the hand of God. Rashi explains, He helps them, He judges them in order to benefit them at their end. And who are their servants? The servants of the righteous, these are their students, those who follow in their tracks and they attend to their needs and they follow in their ways. And all of the rest of humanity, Gam avo, gam sin'o, the love and the hatred, ein yoidin sh'or brios, all of the rest of the creations, the rest of mankind has no idea about any of all of this. Ve'ein makirin loseis libom b'meh yehavu l'makom b'meh em sinuim. The rest of humanity who does not have the light of the Torah to guide them in the ways that they follow, they simply do not know how to pay attention to the way in which they should express love for God, and in what way they will become, how will they be beloved to God, and in what way will they become hated if they do the wrong things. Akol lifneihem, the closing words of the verse, explains Rashi, everything before the righteous and the wise, everything is clear because the righteous and the wise follow the Torah. and follow the light of the guidance of the Torah. Explains Targum on this same verse 1 of chapter 9. Because all of this, I set my heart to investigate all this fact that the righteous and the wise and their students who attend to them for the sake of the study of the Torah, because the only way that you can truly learn the Torah is to be attached to a righteous sage and follow in his ways. And explains King Solomon, all of this, it's all in the hands of God. And it is from him that there is decreed over the whole world what is going to be in the days of each and every person. And indeed all of the love which the different loves which the righteous and the wise show for whatever, and also the things that they all hate. There is no prophet in the world that could possibly know what is going to be for each and every individual. It is all in the mazal, a flow of influence that comes down from the highest of levels of the divine will and wisdom down into our world. It is all decreed by God, a very deep and profound concept that, and one very timely for today, that we have to understand likewise what we are confronting in the world today is all mazal from the hand of God, even if engineered by human loves and hates. All is coming only from God. To go on now to verse 2. Hakol kasher lakol mikre echod latzadik v'lorosho latov v'latohor v'latomei v'lazoiveach v'laasher einenu zoiveach katov kachoite Hanishpo ka'asher shivua yorei. Well, it's all one, is it not? All in all, one event, that is to say, on the surface of the meaning of the verse, one end lies in wait for the righteous and for the wicked, and for the person that is good, for the person that is pure, for him that is impure, for the one that does sacrifice, for the one that does not sacrifice. The good person is just like the sinner. Everybody has their end of death. Likewise, the one that swears, just like the one that is fearful of taking an oath in the name of God. Well, Rashi's interpretation of this verse explains the level of remez, the level of allusion in the verse. As Rashi explains here on verse 2, everything no matter, everybody can perceive, everybody notices that one thing that reaches every person, it's all one the same thing. They know that at the end of the matter, each one will have to give accounting according to his way. Mikra echad, this one eventuality, this one occurrence that awaits everybody. Yodim shesof hakol tzadik v'asher rosh alamus. They know that likewise the righteous and the wicked are going to end up to die. Mikra echad yesh ba'olam hazeh lekol. Everybody knows eventually they are destined to die. Kol ze yodim v'afal piken, they know this, but even so, bocharim Elohem derech hatoiv. That the righteous, even though they know that they are going to die, they choose the good pathway. Because they know that there is a difference between the recompense of the righteous and that of the wicked in the world to come. And now Rashi gives examples of the various categories mentioned in the Hebrew verse. Latzadik, the righteous, an example would be Noah. And the Rasha, the wicked, in this context would be Paro Necho, Pharaoh the lame, who was king of Egypt in the latter years of the first temple in the time of King Josiah, had a limp and says Rashi, Noah, as is known by tradition, had a limp because, according to tradition, according to Midrash, the lion in the ark was upset that he didn't get his proper food and gave Noah a blow on his hip, making him limp. And likewise, Paro Nechoy was called the limping Pharaoh because he had a limp. The good and the pure, says Rashi, examples would be Moses and Aaron. They both had to die. Velatome, the impure, these are the spies. Moses and Aaron spoke the praises of the land of Israel, and the spies spoke derogatorily of the land. But both Aaron and Moses did not enter the land, and the 10 spies did not enter the land. They died in the wilderness. So we see a proof again that one eventuality, one fate came to the righteous and the wicked. Continuing with on the same line, King Josiah, who was king just 4 kings before the destruction of King Solomon's temple, Josiah offered the offerings in his great revivalist movement, and the same fate came to Josiah, who was killed in war, as happened to the one that did not sacrifice to God, namely Achav, king of the 10 tribes, king of Ephraim. It was Achav who prevented Israel from ascending to Jerusalem for the foot festivals. King Josiah died shot by arrows, shot by the Egyptians, as narrated towards the end of the 2nd book of Kings. And Achav died with arrows, as narrated at the end of the 1st book of Kings. The same end came to the good and the sinner. The good was King David, who prepared the way for the temple. That was Nebuchadnezzar, who destroyed the temple. Each of those two, King David ruled 40 years and Nebuchadnezzar ruled 40 years. They all died in the end. Who was the one that took the oath? The last king of Judah, Zedekiah, in whose reign the temple was actually destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar, took a false oath of loyalty to Nebuchadnezzar, which he later broke. The verse says that he rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, against he had taken to whom he had swore that he would remain loyal. The same fate came to King Zedekiah, came to Samson. As it says, Samson said to the men of Judah who came to hand him over to the Philistines, he said, "Swear to me that you, the Judeans, will not hit me. You won't strike me." From this, when Samson asked for a solemn oath, we see that Samson took oaths very seriously, and yet both Samson and Zedekiah died with their eyes gouged out. Turning now then to the following verse, to verse 3. וגם לב בני האדם המלא רוע, והיללוס בלבבם בחייהם, והרוב אל המסים. Very serious reproof here in our text. This is the evil in all that is happening under the sun, that it's the very fact that one eventuality comes to the righteous and the wicked. That's what everybody throws everybody into confusion, and the hearts of men are filled with wickedness anyway, wildness in their hearts during their life. They abuse their lifetimes with this madness, and afterwards they descend down to the dead. Here let us turn to Targum on our verse 3. Targum says, this is the mazal bish, the bad influence in this whole world of all that is going on under the sun, because one eventuality comes to everybody, to all of the inhabitants of the universe, and with that the heart of humanity is full of evil. on account of the fact that since the righteous and the wicked die, what's the difference? Let us eat, drink, and be merry, they say, for tomorrow we die anyway. And there is this wildness in their hearts all the days of their lives, and after, in their end, all is guarded for them to have to face the judgment with all of the dead in the facing the judgment of the sinners. So now, Rashi, in his comment on verse 3, points up the intent of the verse. Why is the heart of man full of wickedness? Because they say there's no punishment for the wicked. And they say everything comes about only through chance. Sometimes it hits the righteous, sometimes it hits the wicked. This indeed was the complaint of Job, and as I've said many times in this series, it is King Solomon in his words who gives the Torah perspective on the true meaning of this very perplexing world that we face. In the end, the wicked do go down to hell, explains Rashi. Turning on now to verse 4 of the Hebrew text in chapter 9. Ki mi asher yichubar el kol achayim yesh bitochon ki lechelev chai utov meno aryeh ames. Whoever is attached to all of the living, that person has something to trust in, some hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. So here let us turn first to the Targum on verse 4. For a person that attaches himself to all the words of the Torah, that is how Targum explains, who attaches oneself to all the living. In the Hebrew text, in the Hebrew verse, there's actually a kri kesiv. There is the fourth Hebrew word of the verse is written, yivachar, which means to choose. Whoever chooses all the words of life, the Torah, but the kri, what is actually read in the synagogue when Kohelet is read publicly, is the word yechubar. Whoever is going to be attached to the living, going back to Rashi, whoever is attached to, sorry, we were on Targum, back on the time, whoever's attached to all of the words of the Torah and to acquire the life of the world to come, that person has hope. Because a living dog is better than a dead lion. Well, now Rashi will bring out some midrashic references in this verse. Again, Rashi explaining like the Targum, a person who is attached to all of the living, that person has trust, hope for when he's still alive, even if that person was still attached to the wicked, as it's written, El Kol Achayim, to all of the living, which would include the wicked. Rashi pointing up the meaning of this word kol in the verse, even if it's the wicked, yesh bitochon, nevertheless, he still has something to rest upon, because maybe he will repent before his death. And now, coming to Rashi's explanation of the living dog better than being the dead lion, even if they were both wicked, it was, even though the two of the following people were both wicked, it was better for Nebuzaradan, who was Nebuchadnezzar's henchman. He was the one who actually destroyed the first temple on the orders of his king Nebuchadnezzar. But he was a wicked servant. But when he saw what he'd done by destroying the temple, he actually converted to the Torah way, and he didn't let death get there before he repented. And he was better than Nebuchadnezzar, his master, who was called by the prophet Arya, the lion, as it states in the prophet, the lion has come up from his thickets. And nevertheless, Nebuchadnezzar died in his wickedness in Gehenna, and he's in Gehenna while his servant is in Gan Eden. It's notable that today, the 26th day of the month of Adar, is the day that by tradition, Nebuchadnezzar, who died on the 25th, on the 26th of Adar, was dragged out of his grave by his son Evil Merodach, who undid all of what Nebuchadnezzar had done, and Evil Merodach on the 26th of Adar released King Jeconiah from his prison in Babylon and took him to his table. Now, our rabbis also interpreted this verse about the difference between a living dog and a dead lion is that on the Sabbath, if it is permissible to cut up an animal carcass for the dogs, because if the dogs are under one's responsibility, one has responsibility to feed them. But if there was a human corpse that was out in the sun, it's actually forbidden according to the laws of carrying on the Shabbat to carry a corpse except in very particular circumstances. And the only way to do that, the solution is to put a living baby with the corpse or a loaf of bread to enable us to carry the corpse on Shabbat. We will not go into the ins and outs of that halacha right now, but we will turn to the Hebrew text of verse 5 of chapter 9. Ki achaim yodim sheyimusu v'amesim eni yodim meumo ve'en od lohem sochor ki nishkach zichrom. The living know that they will die, but the dead don't know anything, and they have no more reward, for their memory, or the memory of them, is all forgotten. Very grim verses here. Continuing now with a Targum on verse 5. Targum explains the verse, for the righteous, who are called the living, the righteous know that if they sin, they are destined to be considered like dead in the world to come, and because of that they guard their ways, but not the and they don't sin, and even if they do sin, they repent. Whereas the sinners, who are referred to in the verse as the dead, they don't know, have no knowledge of anything good, because they do not improve their deeds in their material lifetime, and they know nothing of the actual good of the reward of the world to come. They have no good reward after their death, because all memory of them is forgotten from among the children of the righteous. So moving on now to verse 6. Gam havosom, gam sinosom, gam kinosom, kvar ovno, v'chelik ein lohem od la'olam, b'chol asher na'aseh tachas hashomesh. For their love and their hatred, their jealousies, their passions, it's all lost, and they have no share forever in eternity, in anything that is in future going on under the sun. So here on our verse, Rashi explains on verse 6, all of the loves of the wicked, that they loved folly and scorn, Gam sin'asam, the hatred that they hated the knowledge of God, the knowledge of true wisdom. Gam kin'asam, their jealousy, that they caused the jealousy and wrath of the Holy One, blessed be He, through the work of their hands. So all of this is lost, it's all gone, and they have absolutely no share in anything done under the sun. Any merit they may have had, be it even if they had a son or a daughter these wicked people who worshipped idols, even that will not bring them any kind of atonement after their death. Nothing will avail them. Very grim explanation of our verse by Rashi. Moving forward now to the Hebrew text of the following verse, verse 7. For that reason, says Solomon, which might appear to be cynical, if it's all one end to the righteous and the wicked, Lech echol b'simcho lachmecho shesei b'chelev tov yenecho, go out and eat, enjoy your bread and drink your wine with a good heart, ki chevol rotzo Elohim es maasecho, for God has already shown favor for your deeds. So here we need to understand what King Solomon is really saying over here, and we will have Targum to help us. Amar Shlomo Baruch Nevuah, said King Solomon with the spirit of prophecy, Min Kodem Hashem, prophecy coming forth from the Lord. Asid Mari Almo Lemeima Lechol Tzadikaya Ba'an Penafshe. The Master of the Universe is destined to say in the future to all of the tzaddikim, each one individually, Ezel ta'ay mechedvo lachmoch, de'etesef loch, alachmoch di'ehivto la'anyo. Go now, taste, enjoy your bread, the bread of your reward that has been added to you on account of the bread that you brought to the poor and to the needy. To have a coffin because they were the hungry. You now enjoy with a good heart the wine that has been stored up for you in the Garden of Eden. Because of the wine that you poured out to the poor and the needy when they were thirsty. Because already your good deeds have been accepted before God. Turning now forward to verse 8 of our chapter 9. At all times let your garments be white, and let oil never be lacking upon your head. Well, here we're talking about the garments of the soul, and this is brought out by Targum on our verse, on verse 8. At all times let your garment be white from all impurity of sin. And the good oil, explains Targum, the good name, that is the name of God, the name of Havaya, and all of the holy names of God in the Torah, which are compared to the oil of anointment, as in the opening words of King Solomon's Song of Songs. This oil, says Targum, acquire this oil because this will bring blessing upon your head, and your goodness will never be lacking. If you will keep yourself pure from sin, and you will contemplate constantly and devote your deeds and your life to the glory of God. Turning now to the following verse, verse 9, continuing with Solomon's advice to us in the light of all that he's been speaking about. Re'i chaim im isho asher ohavto kol yemei chayei hevlecho asher nosan lecho tachas hashemesh kol yemei hevlecho ki hu chelkecho b'chaim u'amolocho asher ato omel tachas hashemesh. See life with the woman that you love all the days of the life of your vanity that he has given to you under the sun, that God has given to you under the sun. All the days of this vanity, he repeats, for this is your share in life, and through your labor that you accomplish, that you labor under the sun, this is your share. Well, here let us see now how Targum interprets this life with your wife on one level. Chazei chayin tavenim itzo derechemto kolimei chai havlusoch. See life, good life, with the woman that you love all the days of the life of your vanity. That the Lord has given to you through the flow of your mazal, your destiny in this world under the sun. For this is your share in life through the exertions that you exert in this world under the sun. Well, let us turn to Rashi for further light on, besides the partner, the love of one's life, that for those who've been fortunate to find and live with the love of their life, says Rashi on this verse, see life with the one that you love. Rashi explains that the life that you must see to enjoy is the life of an honest occupation for your livelihood, together with the woman that you love. That is an allusion to the Torah study. That is the love of the soul of Israel is the God-fearing woman that is in the words of the Torah. For this is your share in life, continues Rashi, this is your share in life. If you have done this, you have earned a living honestly, and you have labored in the Torah, this will be your share. This is life in this world, to have a fair, honest livelihood from this, your profession in this world, and in the world to come, you'll have the reward of the Torah study, because the labor of both of them, of the earning of one's livelihood and the study of the Torah and its practice, these cause one to forget sin altogether. Continuing then with the Hebrew of chapter 9, verse 10, Kol asher timtso yodecho la'aso yisbachechacho aseh. Everything that your hand, you find in the power of your hand to do it with all of your strength. For there's no more action, no more calculation of reward and punishment, no more knowledge and wisdom that you can acquire in the Sheol that you are destined to go to. The word Sheol in Hebrew is, in the context of the Tanakh, its most simple explanation would be the grave. And of course, Sheol also has allusions to the experiences of the person in whatever shape or form beyond the grave, the continuing consciousness of the soul in its journey. But the basic meaning of Sheol would be the grave. And what the point that is being made in this verse is that this world that we live in this life, this is the time that we have all the opportunities to acquire all of the merits that we can through our active pursuit of the commandments and of the Torah. And we must do this because after this comes in the Shabbat, we go to the world to come. There's no more action, there's no more way to earn any merits. So Targum on our verse 10 explains as follows: everything that your hand has sufficient means to do in terms of goodness and charity with the poor, do so with all of your power. Because after death, the person has no ability to act, no more calculations, plans, no more knowledge or understanding. In the place of burial, Da'at Ozel Taman, you have to know that is where we are destined. Le'yisayun loch Eloheinu evodin tovin v'tzedakto lechodehoin. The only things that help the person in the grave are good deeds and righteousness. Continuing now then to verse 11. Back to the Hebrew text of verse 11. Shafti v'ra'oi sachas hashemesh כי לא לקלם המירויץ ולא לגיבורים על מלחומו וגם לא לחכומם להם וגם לא לנבוינים אושר וגם לא ליודעים חן כי איס ופגע יקרא אס כולם. This should send shivers into all of us. A virus that can hit anybody, no matter how seemingly strong, youthful, healthy. I sat and I saw underneath the sun that it's not to the swift as the race, nor to the mighty as the war, nor is there necessarily bread in the hands of the wise, nor is there wealth for those with understanding, and nor to those who know the grace of God, namely the secrets of His Torah, because times and afflictions can come to all of them. So turning now to the Targum on verse 11. Amar Shlomo Malko, said King Solomon, Karhavisi Yosef al Kurse Malchuse, when I was sitting on the throne of my kingship, is the kolis v'chazis ba'alma hodein tchis shimsha arum loy guvrin de'inen kalilin kenishrin mistayon lemirat oloshtei zavo min moiso bekravo. I saw that it's not the mighty that are swift as eagles that get help necessarily to run to be saved from death in battle. V'lo giborai mistayon ba'agochusahoin kravo b'gvroseyoin. Likewise, the mighty, the strong are not necessarily helped in war and battle through their strength. V'af lo hakimai mistayon b'chuchmasoyin lemisba lachmo ve'idn kafno. Likewise, the wise are not necessarily assisted by their wisdom to be satisfied with bread in times of famine. V'af lo yisuch lasonin mistayon b'such lasonusahoyin lemachmesh asro. Nor are the intelligent and understanding necessarily help through their understanding to acquire wealth. V'af lo yodebino mistayin b'mandausahoyin lemishkach rachamin be'eni malko. Likewise, even those who have deep understanding are not necessarily helped in finding favor in the eyes of the king. Arum idon v'ariso b'mazalehoni erayos kulon. There is a time and an occurrence that is foreordained through their mazal that will come to all of them, words that we should really take very, very seriously at this time particularly. Verse 12, Ki gam lo yeda ha'odam es itoi kadogim shene'ehazim b'matzoid ro'o v'chatziparem u'achuzas b'pach kohim Yukoshim b'nei ha'olam la'is ro'o kshetipol alehem pis'oim. What words that are applicable to this very moment today as people are succumbing all over the world to a sudden unseen plague. For the person does not know his time. They are trapped like fish in a net, in an evil net, like birds who are held in the trap. Like them are held and trapped the sons of men at a time of evil when it will fall upon them suddenly. Very, very severe words, certainly appropriate for our thinking carefully in this very time today. So Rashi on this verse 12 comments, like fish that are held in the trap, like great fish that are held in a very tiny little trap, very weak. And our sages interpreted this as being the fish hook that is just a little more than a thin needle, and a big fish can be caught with this. And so it can be with a tiny little virus, God forbid, that can catch a mighty person, God forbid, and overcome them. Kohem yukshim kemichshel cotton v'chaloshkem amatsudo rovapach, with a small stumbling block, weak like this little net. Nichshalem b'nei odom be'es bekudas ro'osam. So are people stumbling at the time of the visitation for their evil. Keshebo itam lepoilo ro alehem episam b'metzodo ro. When their time comes for the evil to fall upon them, like for them to come into the evil trap, just like them, so it will happen to the person. Turning now to the following very beautiful section. Gamzoi roisi chochmot achas hashemesh gedolahi elai. This I saw a great wisdom under the sun. Ugedolahi elai, it's very great in my eyes. Ketano, continuing with the Hebrew of verse 14 of chapter 9. Ketano vanoshim bo ma'ot, little city with just a few people in it. Vo eleho melech godol v'sovav iso uvono oleo metzidim gedolim. There came a great king and surrounded it and built against this little city a great siege works. Umatzavo ish miskein chochom umilet u eso ir b'chochmasoi v'adam lo yizochar eso ish miskenahu. And there was found there a poor but wise man, and he saved the city through his wisdom, and nobody ever remembered that poor man. And I said, continues King Solomon, I said, better is wisdom than might. And even if the wisdom of the poor person is scorned, and his words are not heard, but it tells King Solomon comfortingly, Divrei chachomim benachas nishmoim mizakas moshel b'ksilim. The words of the wise are heard through gentleness more than the screams and shouts of a lord and master over the foolish. And finally, in conclusion of this verse, of this chapter, verse 18, better is wisdom than the vessel, the weapons of war, of battle, and but one single sinner can destroy a great deal of good. Well, let's look at our commentators on these verses, on this wisdom, starting back at verse 13. Solomon says he's going to tell us very great wisdom. And what is the mashal, the metaphor of this little city with the people in it? Turning to our Targum on verse 14. Gufbar Nishah. It's the body of the human being that is compared to a little town. And there were mighty warriors, just a few in it. Eichmo de kalilin schuse begoy libo de enosho. Just as if the merit of the purity in a person's heart is weak, and there enters into the body of the person the evil inclination. Yitzrabisha de Masilah Melech Rav V'Sakif Le'is Kanor. This is the evil inclination that is compared in the metaphor to a great mighty king who is very hard to overcome. V'ascha Yosei Lemita Yosei Ovano Aloi Asal Mesav Al De Yitzvei Le'asta Yusei Min Ochon De Sokron Kodem Hashem. And this wicked king surrounded the city. He wanted to lead the person astray. He built his own place there to sit against the person in order to turn the person astray from the paths of righteousness before the Lord. To trap the person in great traps, to Gehenna, the traps of hell, to burn him 7 times over his sins. But there was found in the body a good inclination, very lowly but wise. But he was able to rise up against this wicked king and to overcome the mighty king through his wisdom. He saved the body from the judgment of hell. Through the power of his wisdom, just like a person goes to war, he saves the people of the city through the wisdom of his heart. But afterwards nobody remembered the good inclination that saved him. The person says in his heart, I was the righteous one, I was the one that did the good. He forgets that little good thought. God fed the person through the good inclination. And just like the poor of that city did not remember the poor wise person that saved them. I said, continues King Solomon, verse 16, better is the wisdom of the righteous than all the power of the strength of the wicked. Because the wisdom of the righteous and their merit saves the people of their generation. But the mighty evil inclination that sits in the heart of the wicked and will not let the person repent, that is what destroys that person. The wisdom of the righteous poor is considered lowly in the eyes of the wicked of that generation. And at the time that the righteous person reproves the wicked of his generation over their bad deeds, they will not accept his reproof. And concludes King Solomon, the words of prayer of the wise said in a quiet whisper are accepted before the Master of the universe. Yateme kiblas gavr rishia, more than the complaints of a wicked person. Dehu shalit al shatyon defagin veles makabel. He is, if he has power, influence, it's only over the fools and mad people that he can make all the demonstrations he wants before God with his cries and shouts. It's not accepted. Concludes Solomon, the closing translation of Targum on verse 18 of chapter 9. Tava chuchmas chakimo be'iden akso yotemin manikrava be'iden agichus kravo. Better is the wisdom of the wise at the time of pressure and danger more than all of the weapons of war at the time of an actual war. One evil, sinful person in a generation may cause the destruction of very much good from the world. And with that, we conclude our study of Kohelet chapter 9.